All right, guys.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Well, today we have a presentation for you that is going to teach you basically how to pull together a very, very strong personal brand. So it's called the 3D Freedom Formula, right? 3D formula to a bold and unbeatable personal brand. So, just real quick, my name's Tanya Eberhardt. I am the founder of Brand Face, where we help business stars differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding.
And I'm Michael Carr. I'm the COO of Brand Face. I was actually a client before I became a partner in the company, and we're the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe. Thank you for joining us today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. You're going to love it.
So, we say kick your feet up. We're going to spend about probably between 30 and 40 minutes here, walking you through some very comprehensive steps, helping you understand very clearly what personal branding is, and challenging your thought process a little bit. Get ready to take some notes. We're going to move fast through this, guys, really fast.
A lot of material to cover here.
So you may be thinking, you know what personal branding is. Who doesn't, right? And others of you may be thinking, hey, I know what it means. I know what it is, but I'm not sure how to pull it all together for myself. So we hope to have an impact on all of you today and help you understand how to stand out in what we call the Sea of Sameness.
You want to stay away from that. We're going to discuss the impact of a differentiating personal brand. That is our specialty. That's what we do. I learned it from her. I applied it to my real estate brokerage. It continues to grow. We're going to talk more about that later. But today, more importantly, we're going to tell you how it's done, because I know we got, that's the most important reason you'll be tuning in, right? So you want to be asking yourself a lot about when it comes to figuring out your brand, what is it that you want to be known for? What is it that makes me different? What is it that is memorable? Those are the kind of things that you want to keep at the forefront of your mind. Today, you're going to leave with a clear understanding of whether your brand is differentiating or whether you don't even have a brand, and whether it represents you the way you deserve.
That's
very important. Here's what's happening in our market today and why you should be taking special note to understand it. Obviously, you know about the industry giants, Zillow, Redfin, guys like that, Wall Street giants that are just throwing a lot of money at the real estate business that want to muscle in on your part of the $200 billion in real estate commissions that are passed every year. They want a part of that, and they're trying to treat you like a commodity. The second thing is there's a lot of noise out there. You're losing business to a lot of people getting into the business, and every one of us knows somebody that says, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. I think I want to get into real estate, right? And a lot of them do that, and that creates a lot of noise around there, and people don't know who to choose or why to choose it. We're going to show you today how to fix that problem.
Yep. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen because we'll have a presentation that'll kind of help bring these things full focus for you guys. Okay. Hang tight. All right. So, first, we want to start with this. Great branding isn't about being known for your profession. It's about being known for being different in your profession.
Please write that down.
Yes,
it's the
exactly.
First thing you got to know about it.
Exactly.
Very important.
So, I mean, you've no doubt, seen it or experienced it. The Sea of Sameness is what we're talking about. Many agents have the same business card layout, the same website template. They're even using the same phone or video scripts for prospecting. And when everybody looks and sounds the same, well, your customers choose who they work with based on these 3 criteria. Write these down, okay? The cheapest person, we don't want that, right? The second criteria they look at is someone they're already connected with. And then the third, the most convenient for them. And that does even more to turn you into a commodity. So what are you doing to stand out and demonstrate your undeniable value to those customers so you're the one they choose? Well, you build a brand that answers these 5 questions, guys.
Write these down. Every brand should answer these questions. If you don't answer these questions with your brand, you do not have a brand. That's very important, okay? What sets you apart? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? What qualifies you to serve them? And how does it make their life better?
Well, we've got the answer for you today, and it's called the 3D Freedom Formula, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But in order to get to that, we first need to understand why what we're doing could be wrong, okay? So first, let's define personal branding.
This is important. We say that personal branding is the art of differentiation, positioned and presented by a personality.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's different from business branding because it's personal. It's you presenting yourself as somebody that other people would want to do business with. So let's take a look at it this way. So this is probably going to bring it into light more than anything else that you could see to help you understand exactly why personal branding is very important. Did you know that most business owners and even employees have more social media followers than their companies do? Okay. Yep. For instance, look at Microsoft and Bill Gates on your screen right now. Microsoft has over 9 million Twitter followers. Bill Gates has almost 54 million. What about Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg, right? Facebook has over 21 million followers. Mark Zuckerberg has over 116 million. And then our beloved Super Bowl winner, Tom Brady, okay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 983,000 followers. Tom Brady has 1.8 million. So, you know, a football player may change teams and jerseys throughout the years, but they take their stats, talents, and fans along with them until they retire, guys. And that's why personal branding is so important.
Yeah, that should be an eye-opener for you guys. When the individual has far more followings than the company, it shows you that people are attracted to the individual to do business. Tanya says people prefer to follow people, right? In fact, in the book that she wrote, the original book, and every subsequent book after that, we say that people don't do business with a logo. They do business with a person. And I can tell you from somebody that's been involved in national businesses, that's absolutely true. Even among national companies, there's still two individuals doing that business on behalf of those two companies, right? And you have to remember why people do that and how you can impact their decision. Customers these days have three things in common. They're super smart, they're super hard to please, and they're quick to make a decision. I mean, lightning fast to make it. And this is exactly why your personal brand should be defined, developed, and displayed to showcase the why they should do business with you. Very important.
Yep. Now, you might be thinking that, you know, the customers know, your customers know these things about you already. Well, the first question is, do they? Do they really? The second question is, and this one's important, write this one down. Do they know these things about you before they meet you? So think about it this way. Why wait for people to come face to face with you before they know you? You know, the NAR taught us years ago, prospects are looking you up before they ever even reach out to you. And if they don't see your why they should do business with you, then why should they work with you?
Yeah, right.
The truth is, people should be familiar with you and what you stand for before they even talk to you or meet you in person. In other words, your brand should precede you.
Yep.
So,
and hi, my name is, and I'm in real estate. It may be something that does precede you, but that's not a brand, guys. That's not a brand. Now that we've set the stage for why personal branding is so important, we're going to share our stories with you and what got us to this point and the why Brand Face was founded. You want to know this because you want to know that we have the expertise to help you do the exact same things that other people have helped us do, that she helped me do, and now we help a lot of other yous do. Okay, like that's important, right? So stick with us as we share our stories and they explain why our story got us to where we are here today and teaching you your why.
Yep, exactly. So I'll start. I had very humble beginnings. Okay. I was, let me move over so my face is not hidden here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had very humble beginnings and I sold vacuum cleaners door to door. I did that for 3 years going through college, and I was approached at the time by a radio station engineer, asked me if I wanted to apply for a sales position at a radio station. And fast forward 18 years later, I was still in radio. Now, here's why this is really important. My very first taste of personal branding came when I was selling those vacuum cleaners door to door. I couldn't just walk up to a house and say, hey, let me in. I want to sell you an expensive vacuum cleaner. I had to come up with my own story and encourage them to let me in. And then when I made the transition to the radio world, instantly I saw that there were business owners out there who were like rock stars in the community. Everybody knew who they were. They flocked to them at events. And I've noticed that those people were like, they had one thing in common. They were the face and the voice of their business. They were the voice on radio commercials and the face of their business on television and radio and in magazines. And so those things were really important. Well, over the next, a quarter of a century, I worked with people in multiple industries to help them develop that personal brand so they could be the face of their business. And it was a common thread through everything I did until in 2013, I developed the concept of brand face. Personal branding is not new to the world. It's been around much longer than me. But I did do something very uniquely different, and I taught business owners how to do this through certain formulas that we're going to share with you today. Okay. So at the time that I began Brand Face, I also started working with this gentleman, and I'm going to scoot over here for just a moment and let him tell you a little bit of his story.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, I started life as an auctioneer. That was my goal and my plan in life, to sell cars and equipment, and then eventually real estate at auction. One of my mentors told me, get your real estate license. You might make a little extra money. I did this in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia region of the United States. Sold a lot of property under tents. And it turned out that real estate was the bigger bread and butter, and then auctioneering became something I did to make a little extra money. But in 2000, I opened up my own firm, and the only reason I did that was to have the autonomy to choose who I would work for. In 2006, though, because of my experience level in both being an auctioneer as well as being in real estate, I partnered with a company out of Irvine, California, and we went after the Bear Stearns portfolio and got most of it when the mortgage debacle hit. We thought it'd be about 3 years worth of work, and ended up being 7 years of work. I was licensed in 33 states. I had an office in Atlanta, Georgia, Irvine, California, and Seattle, Washington. I spent a lot of time in Manhattan. Why is this important to you? Well, when I came back, auctioneers always working themselves out of a job. I was involved in well over 60,000 residential transactions in 33 different states. When I came back home, I opened up a brokerage with a lady. I bought a piece of property, and she said, split this with me, and then let's open up a brokerage. There's not a lot of competition in our area. And I said, I'll do that if you'll come help me run it. She said, okay, let's do that. And then the second thing she told me was, your marketing is terrible, and you need to talk to my niece, which I did. Eventually, she called me. There we go. Eventually, she called me. Well, she was telling me to call Tanya, telling Tanya to call me. Tanya finally called me and said, I don't know who's supposed to be calling who, but if I can help you, I'd love to do it. I hired her company, greatest decision that the company has ever made. I did not realize she was taking me through the very principles that we're going to talk to you today about for my company. Now, my company does not only own the area in which that we are in. We're the largest real estate company there in North Atlanta. We are expanding. We have 2 locations in Atlanta. We are looking at a location in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Orlando, Florida, all in the course of the past 7 years, putting the brand face principles to work, exactly like we're going to talk to you today about. So that's a little bit of my story, my why, and why that's important to you guys.
All right. So speaking of why are things not working for you, perhaps? All right. I want you guys to think about some of these questions and think about if you've ever said these things out loud. Okay. I really don't know what sets me apart from my competitors. I know what sets me apart, but I don't know how to express it. I know I should be more focused, but I don't want to box myself in. The marketing I've done in the past has not worked. I feel like my marketing just blends in. It does not stand out. So why is this happening?
It all links to 4 fundamental marketing failures that all people go through. I went through it. You might recognize a lot of these failures in running your own business. We can fix it. That's the good thing about it. Fundamental failure, number one, no point of differentiation, folks. I can't tell you how important this is. It's the number one failure that companies and individuals make. It's happening everywhere. You see, it's not enough to market yourself as a real estate professional. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands in your market. And you're a commodity that's trying to stand out from that sea of sameness. So what makes you different from all of those others? You can tell people all day long that you're better, but better is subjective. Your idea better might not be the same idea as everybody else's idea better, or another person's idea of better. But when we tell people how we're different, that is inarguable. They're not looking for a reason to tell you you're wrong when you say that you're different. If you say that you're better, they're looking for a reason to tell you, no, you're not. If you don't set yourself apart, you end up marketing just like everybody else, because we all have the same places to market. So the only difference is the difference, right? So right down to the same templates and the scripts that coaches are giving you, or the other organizations, your platforms tell you how to do this. Go here and go watch this video, and you're going to learn these scripts, and you're going to sell like millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's the sea of sameness, because all of your competitors are doing the exact same thing. And when this happens, consumers have no choice but to treat you like a commodity, right? Because you haven't set yourself apart, explained your why, and why that's important to them. They just lump you in with everybody else.
Yep. All right. And then the number 2 marketing failure that many of you may be experiencing is no defined target. Your target audience is just too broad. Remember, you should market to different people by different means and a different message. So when your ideal customers aren't dialed in, it not only impacts where you market, it impacts the message that you put out there too.
So important,
right? So you just can't be all things to all people. And, one of the things we say very often is if you try to help everyone, you'll just help yourself right out of business. So you have to focus.
Yep. Number 3.
We'll talk about that later.
We're going to show you how. Okay. Number 3, no personality. Hey, it's personal branding, guys. Think about this. Put your personality into it. Personality is the human element that is behind why people choose to do business with you over someone else. I wish I could have a show of hands of how many people know Napoleon Hill. If you don't know who he is, find out who he is. He's fantastic, right? And in a fantastic book of 1937 called Think and Grow Rich, he says it is the personalities back of a business which determine the measure of success that business will enjoy. It's the personality, folks. Mm-hmm. People instinctively want to know the story behind the face. It makes a connection that goes beyond business. Years later on social media, that is proven over and over and over again. Personalities often have more connections than companies. We already showed you that example, right? Some of you may be thinking, people choose companies all the time. I work for a big one with a few initials. And in fact, that could be true. But folks, if you lose a deal, you didn't lose a deal because of who your brokerage was. You lost a deal because you have not shown your value over some other agent, some other person. You lost your business because that person didn't understand the value you can bring. They didn't understand how you were different. And imagine how powerful it is when you have both in your corner, right? The great brokerage that can open some doors, and then the great personal brand that closes business.
All right. And now number 4 marketing failure. This is Michael's pet peeve.
It's my favorite.
It is. It's his favorite to actually adhere to, right? It's his pet peeve when you don't.
That's right.
And you fail at consistency. You can have the greatest message and image in the world, but if you're not consistently putting it out there, you'll be forgotten, right? It's kind of like setting up for this elaborate party, but forgetting to send out invitations. Or better yet, we've heard clients say, hey, I sent out postcards to 10,000 people and none of them responded.
I even had a puppy dog on it.
Yeah. And the problem is they only sent it out once. It would have been much better to send 10 postcards out to 1,000 people.
Yeah, the same 1,000.
Because frequency and consistency truly is what matters, right?
It absolutely is. Yeah, you got to keep in mind, folks, the 7, 11, and 21 rule, okay? It's been around forever. We didn't invent this. This has been a marketing axiom forever. 7 times before somebody remembers your name, 11 times before they associate your name with what you do, and 21 times before they take action to connect with you because of what you do. 7, 11, 21 rule.
Yep. Okay. So those are the 4 marketing failures, guys. And when you fail in any of these areas, you end up with what we in the media world used to call spray and pray.
There's a lot of
How
y'all doing
many of
that.
you
Tell
are
the
like,
truth.
yeah, putting out a marketing
I've
piece and
done it.
just getting on your knees, right?
I've done it.
So you're hoping something sticks somewhere, somehow. And honestly, this is where I saw business owners waste thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars every year because you can't calculate the cost of confusion. Unless your brand is properly going through that 3D formula, which we're about to talk about, the confusion materializes in 2 areas, guys. First is confusion among the consumers because they don't really know who to choose when everybody kind of appears to do the same thing.
Mhm.
And second, there's confusion in your overall direction because there's no clear path set forward for you to follow. So how do you build a personal brand that answers all of these challenges?
Well, don't do what most people do. Don't do what I was guilty of until I met Tanya. Don't fall into the trap of the 3 amigos, right? Don't think for a second that just because you have a photo or a logo or a tagline that you have a brand. You don't. These are branding elements. They're important branding elements, but they are not the brand, folks. They're not going to help you build your culture. You have to look at it like that. When you're putting a brand out there, you're building your culture. You're attracting the business you want. You're attracting the teammates you want. You're attracting the agents. If you're recruiting, you're building a culture. And that is what personal branding really does. But you can't even stop there. It won't tell the whole story. A tagline will never fit your entire story in it. That's why personal branding is so powerful. And there's a direct correlation to marketing. But this is how Tanya's going to tell us how marketing and branding are totally different things.
Yep. Okay. So look at it this way, simplistic as possible. Marketing is using different marketing vehicles or platforms to get a message and image out in front of your ideal customers, right? Any kind of marketing you do, that's the vehicle to get the message out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your brand, however, is the message and image that you put out there through your marketing. Your brand defines what you stand for and the promise to your customers. It shows what sets you apart. And that's honestly why your marketing suffers when you don't have your brand dialed in. So think about it this way. What are you going to put in your marketing, right?
That's so important, because if you don't do this first, you don't know what to put in. You can market yourself all day long, and you can buy every lead generation tool that's available in real estate. You can send out the emails, you can send out the postcards, you can post some more, post some more, post some more, post again, repost, post and share and repost. You can add 10 videos a week to your YouTube channel, a day. It doesn't matter. But how are you going to appear different from what everybody else is doing, right?
Or from everybody else who's doing the same thing.
Or everybody else is doing the same thing, right? Or, because how much money will you waste appearing the same as everybody else? Here's the great news. Now it's time for us to show you how to fix this. It's called the 3D freedom formula that we've been talking to you about even earlier in this program. The 3 Ds: define, develop, and display. And we're going to break those down for you so you can really start honing in your brand.
Yep. We call it the freedom formula because that's actually what it does for you guys. It gives you the freedom to build the business you want, deal with the type of customers you want to deal with, and define your life and your business the way that you want. And it's a big deal when you do that. And your brand is the very first step in helping you figure out the direction that you want to go in and be happy with, which we're going to talk about again too. All right, the step number 1 in this freedom formula is define. Okay, define. You've got to define your focus and your direction. So we begin with 2 basic ingredients. First of all, your ideal customers, and then your point of differentiation. So we're going to tackle those one at a time for you here. We're going to give you a sneak peek inside our exclusive HEAP formula for choosing your ideal customer first. Okay, so this is the HEAP formula.
Is in like whole heap of business.
Whole big heap of business. Okay, so here we go. This is the HEAP criteria for finding your ideal customers.
Yep, the H stands for somebody you can help. Right? So when you're trying to define who your ideal customer is, stop and take a break. Take a deep breath. I don't care how busy you guys are. You're listening to this thing, so you got time for a second. I want you to stop. Take a mental exercise and look back at the deals that you have done and think about all the people that you were truly able to help, and learn and figure out what was that dynamic. What did those people look like?
Yeah, and it could be somebody you share a common life phase with.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that has kids the same age, anything like
Could be
that.
a life experience that you helped them through because you had been through it, right? We hear realtors say all the time, why did you get into real estate? Well, I had a terrible real estate agent and I figured I could do better than that.
I hear that a lot,
actually. Yeah. And they do in a lot of ways. They saw what they did not like in something else. So now if they apply that to their ideal customer they're going after, then they're defining that very first age, somebody they can help.
Next is enjoy someone you enjoy working with.
Very important.
Michael has one of my favorite quotes. Life is too short to dance with ugly personalities.
That's the truth.
That's so true. Who wants to do that, right? So you want to do business with people you enjoy doing business with, people that maybe could become your friends after the business, transaction is done or during the business transaction. That's a lot of what life's all about, guys. And don't forget, we do business every day. Business is part of life. And in life, we want to be happy, whether it's business or spending time with our families, either one. Our business partners should be an extension of our family.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. The A is somebody that appreciates what you do. Okay, folks, this is very important. Anybody who doesn't appreciate what you bring to the table, you don't
fire them.
Yeah, you don't need to be looking for more of that customer. Okay, don't do it. And how do you not find more of that customer? You got to identify this. You got to think about it. Okay, I remember that deal, and I do not want to work with that personality. That personality treated me like they knew more than me, and they had never bought a house before, or they had bought one house. And I've done 12 transactions this year already. And how dare, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've done thousands. I've done hundreds. I've done 10. I've done 2. You're still the professional. Think about those customers that you enjoyed working with, that you could help, and that appreciated what you did.
And finally, profit. Okay. It is not a dirty word.
Nope.
You want to work with somebody who's profitable for you to work with. And that doesn't necessarily mean somebody who's buying the highest ticket item. It could be somebody who is buying something from you and they know many other people that they can tell and will tell about you. Mm-hmm. So that helps you grow that sphere of influence of your ideal customer. So profitability can come in different ways, guys, but we need to make sure that the people we're doing business with are profitable for us. And this is a powerful formula for helping you guys narrow down who you should be trying to attract. Of course, we call that your ideal customer.
That is your ideal customer. And it's not made to box you in. It's not about keeping you boxed in. I people all the time, I'm like, okay, who do you want to go after? Who do you work with best with? Do you work with downsizers? Do you work with first-time home buyers? Who do you work with best? And they're like, well, won't I sell a house to anybody? Well, yes, of course you will. Like if you specialize in lakefront properties and somebody calls you and says, hey, I want an inland property, will you sell it to me? You're going to go, yes, of course. But when you're spending your marketing dollars and your time and your efforts in trying to get that person to call you, you don't go after the person with the inland. If you are the lake specialist, you go after the people who buy lake properties. It's not about boxing you in. It's about giving you focus. Okay.
Exactly. So this was the HEAP formula for helping you choose that ideal customer, which is part of the define phase, right? The next important part that we talked about was your point of differentiation. Mm-hmm. You need to choose one thing that you want to be known for. So it's critical that you focus on that one thing that will lead the charge, something that your prospects will immediately see that kind of begins that connection between you and the rest of your story.
Mm-hmm. This one seems to stump a lot of people. Okay. And frankly, it's easy to understand why. We're complicated beings. We have multiple points of differentiation. There's a lot of things that make Tanya different than any other Tanya, than any other lady, than any other person, than any other human. But there's a lot that make us the same, right? But you got to focus in on one. You'll need to decide on one to lead the charge. We do that through our STAIR method. We have a trademarked STAIR method that we use. Simply put, it's looking at each one of those things in order and then deciding on the one that meet this criteria. Your point of differentiation, that thing that makes you different, must be both important to your ideal customers, the people you're trying to target, And it also must be unique to you personally. Okay. So hopefully that helps you decide what your lead charge point of differentiation is going to be. It's got to be important to the people you want to reach. And it also has to be unique to you.
Yep. And when you understand those two things, your ideal customers and what sets you apart, the next step is the hook, right? We call that a brand identifier. Most of you would probably refer to it as a tagline or slogan.
Mm.
And your tagline or your brand identifier should state either who you are or what you do or stand for. Okay. But here's the formula in front of you here. Your ideal customers plus your point of differentiation equals your brand identifier. And like Michael said a moment ago, it has to be important to your ideal customer and unique to you and in your market in order to really stand out. But think about it like this. Why do we do a brand identifier or a tagline or a slogan? Because your brand is like a book. You can't possibly put the entire contents of a book on the cover, right?
Right.
So we have to create something shiny on that cover, a hook that captures that attention and gets people to want to crack open the first page of that book.
Mm-hmm.
But your tagline, it won't hold attention all by itself. It'll grab attention right away. The rest of the story, the rest of the brand has to be there to fill in the blanks, right? And that's why you can't just stop at a brand at a tagline. It's why those three amigos, the photo, the logo, and the tagline, are not a full and complete brand.
Exactly. So keep that in mind right there. I want to go over it one more time. Your ideal customer is the people that you want to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
Add that to your point of differentiation, that thing that makes you different. And that thing should be important to your ideal customer and unique to you. And that creates your brand identifier. Your brand identifier is the shiny that gets somebody to stop for a minute and go, what's this? Who is this?
Yep.
What does that mean? How does that, let's find out more. Let's take another step.
All right. Now we move from define phase into development phase. All right. And this is where we're going to develop all the parts and pieces of the brand, any branding element top to bottom to help you stand out on any marketing that you do. And there's several pieces of the puzzle, beginning with brand messaging. Okay. And your brand message really focuses in on how do you express what it is that sets you apart from everybody else? How do you express why they should do business with you over everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Things like your elevator pitch, your biography. We have an exclusive item called Signature Sound Bites, which are highlights of your brand at a glance.
Very powerful piece.
Very powerful. And those pieces together tell the story. But obviously, we don't want just writing, right? We have to have imagery. And so that's where your brand imagery comes in next in the development phase. We're going to be taking a look at things like your brand colors, your logo, background images that really resonate with your customers, your area, and what you stand for, all the way down to photos of you, which should be well thought out and portray the image you want to portray.
Absolutely.
And let me say something about this real quick. A lot of times people run out to the first thing they do when they come into a business is they run out and get a photo shoot, right? And they think, okay, now I've got a professional photo to put on LinkedIn and to put on social media. There's not a lot of thought, however, that goes behind those photos. So what are you going to be wearing? How's that going to coordinate with your brand colors? What poses do we need to have in that? What background? Are there any props you need to be holding? How can we be creative and stand out on these things? So you can see that why a photo shoot is not one of the first things we do in our program with the people. It's one of the things toward the end of the program because we've got to really build up to what do we want this to look like. And that's really important.
It's very important because listen, a picture's worth 1,000 words, folks. It's got to be the right 1,000 words, and it has to match in that messaging what that picture says. And that's very important to all of your, this is really where the richness of the program is, because when you got the shiny, right? Well, now we've gone past the tagline, you've got the shiny, you've got their attention. You might get one more click out of them. If you're lucky, you'll get two, right? So once that first click, you want them to know as much about you as possible. You need that built out because that's where they're going to be digging to say, why should I do business with this person? And NAR has already told us that well into the 80s, I mean, 10 years ago, it was 84% of all people are looking up realtors before they do business with us. And it doesn't matter in whatever entrepreneurial business that you're in. We live in that age now, guys. They're going to your social media. They're going to your websites. They're wanting to learn about you before they contact you. This is where you have to nail it. This is where they call you and say, I've read about you. I want to do business with you. I need to do business with you. And we hear that all the time. So that brings us to the display portion of the 3D formula, which is just as important as all the rest of it. You need to display your new brand that has been built out correctly and consistently. Remember my favorite thing, or my terrible pet peeve, it has to be consistent everywhere. So you stand out from your competitors. Your customers need to see the same thing everywhere. Remember the 7-11-21 rule. I didn't write that rule. She didn't write that rule. We just live by that rule, and it makes money. That's what happens. Your customers should see the same you every time that they are connecting, because sometimes they're driving down the road and they're seeing you on a sign real fast, and their brain is connecting you and they don't even really know it. Sometimes they're remembering that card they dropped in the trunk drawer. Sometimes they're going back to that pizza magnet, right, with a pizza menu on it, and they see you're like, oh yeah, well, I saw their sign and then I found their card and then heard their radio. I got to call them. That's the way it works. You have to consistently display that everywhere. Your social channels, your website, your collateral materials that you give, your card, your envelope seals, your stickers for your phone on the back of your phone so they can see your name and who you are when you're at the Starbucks, at the coffee place doing whatever, right? Promotional items like car coasters, lights, key rings. One of our clients lives in an area that's popular for people to be investing in vacation homes, and they call ahead to the grocery stores, and the grocery stores deliver their groceries, and she's got her brand all across the box they deliver it in. It's genius. It's in their home. They're paying attention to that even when they're not. And then when they get ready to buy in that vacation area, who are they going to call?
Exactly. So those are the 3Ds, guys: define, develop, and display. There is a little bit of a secret sauce in there, I must admit. Inside of that 3Ds, we look at 77 different criteria when building a personal brand.
It's a deep dive.
It is a deep dive. And here's another little secret you need to know. It's not just about taking that checklist of 77 items and going check, 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 check. It's how do you develop messaging that speaks to the heart of your ideal customer in an authentic way, right? You've got to know what to focus on. How do you develop imagery that is impactful on both a conscious and a subconscious level? And some of those 77 criteria can actually counteract each other, but when you put it all together, you could positively impact every single marketing dollar you spend.
Now you're talking, right? Folks, all of you, raise your hand. It says ROI on my marketing is terrible. Marketing
right.
doesn't work. I mean, I've done this and it doesn't work. I quit it because it didn't work. All of those things. I've said the exact same things. But these formulas in which we're sharing with you transformed every bit of that. I can track my ROI now. I know where to market. I know the messaging in which to tell the people I'm trying to attract. And I know why. That's most important. All of your marketing will showcase all of the branding elements right down to the tiniest of details.
Yep. So now I want to address one more question for those of you in the real estate world for a moment, because we get this question quite a bit. And we've been talking about how to build your personal brand, and we get this question: how can I do that when my brokerage already has a brand? Mm-hmm. Can I really have my own brand, right? So I'm going to let Michael answer that question.
Well, I'm perfect for it, because the truth of the matter is it's absolutely true. You can't have both. I'm living proof of it. And I will also say I'm not alone, guys. We do business. We've got clients in 41 states and 4 other countries. We have never ran into a broker who didn't understand the value of personal branding. They do. They get it. And we've even seen brokers really lean in towards our clients because they're seeing them invest in themselves, invest in their own business. I own a brokerage in North Atlanta. As I told you earlier, we're working on 2 satellite locations, one in Knoxville, Tennessee, one in Orlando, Florida. I have 28 of the greatest agents that you will ever meet. They're all professionals. I would trust any of them to sell a home to my grandmother. Literally, I trust these people. What's interesting about this is I have about 45% of them that are professionally branded. The crazy thing about it is if you take the volume and the GCI of these, if you take one of those professionally branded people and you pull them out of the pack, they do business in all of the other 19 people put together. That's how powerful this is. The reason I love it as an indie brokerage in North Atlanta is I know I can't really touch all of my clients that I want to, all of the clients that come underneath our umbrella that we protect. I have to trust my agents to do that. And what do I know about personal branding? I know that people do business with a person, not a logo, not even my image that they would see. That yes, I set the culture. They take that culture into the houses, right? That's you guys. So your brokers are not going to have a problem with this. They've built a certain culture that attracted you, and that's wonderful. And if you feel at home there and you're supported, that's an awesome, awesome thing. And that's what you need to look for as a real estate agent. But now take your personal brand out into the street because you're taking that company brand with you too. We say protect your broker's brand, promote your own brand.
Exactly. That brokerage brand is important. You know, like Michael said, you choose the brokerage for the culture, but you're also a unique individual in and of yourself. And you have strengths that nobody else has. You have things unique about you that nobody else has. And when you have both in your corner, how can it get even better? Right.
Right.
So, hey, one question remains. Where do we start? Right. How do we start? And the first question is, you know, what sets you apart, right? It's critical. Here's a few things we want you to think about. What are you passionate about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you rock at?
Mm-hmm. What would people say about you when you're not in the room?
Think about that for a second, right? What comments have you heard your clients say about you over and over and over?
How do you see yourself?
Here's a good one. What's your superpower? Think about what your superpower would be if you could have one.
Yeah, I know what mine would be.
I know what yours would be.
What would mine be?
To fly.
I've always wanted to fly.
Yeah.
I could tell you stories. I tried to fly out of a barn one time and I fell straight down. But still, you know, I still dream of it. I still think it can actually happen. Right. And I'm right. It can actually happen. I just need the right equipment. I just didn't have the right, my arms.
You didn't have the right equipment at the time.
Things that looked like wings strapped to my arms that my, 8-year-old brother had put on my arms, they weren't quite wings.
No,
so
they did not create
evolution has brought greater tools at my disposal. So I will be trying it again. So anyway, we do understand, it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar.
What a great statement, folks.
It's hard. Yeah. So that's why we're here, guys,
to help you see while you're inside the jar.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's, one other thing that I want to say that comes as a result of developing your personal brand that I think is just phenomenal. And that is, a great brand doesn't just change the way other people see you. It changes the way you see yourself. And sometimes, guys, it's like the old, is it MasterCard commercials? This is $5,000. This is $12,000. This is priceless.
Yes.
The way you see yourself is priceless. And,
absolutely.
And developing the brand helps you see yourself in a whole new light. It's a beautiful journey. I'm so blessed every day to see people go through this journey with us. So I invite you to come on the first step of the journey. Discussyourbrand.com if you have any questions, and we can, we want to talk about your personal brand and where we go from here. Okay, guys? Yep. So, and we thank you for the time you have spent with us today.
We do.
It's been 45 minutes, so we appreciate you very much. And this is just how passionate we are about this, about personal branding and getting you the personal brand that you deserve.
Exactly. We want you to have that freedom, folks. Discussyourbrand.com. Join us there. It's a no-cost call. You'll be able to talk to one of our staff members. We'll help you along with your brand, even if you don't have one yet. Okay. We love to talk about it. So please join us there. Listen, guys, we really appreciate your time. We know that it's valuable. And, we do this for prosperity. Prosperity is not a bad thing. But when we say prosperity, we're talking about the full 360 of an abundant life that we truly wish for all of you out there. We know here at BrandFace that prosperity favors the bold. So we always say, be bold, especially with your brand, especially in 2021. And thank you, Miss Tanya.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you guys out there. Let us know. Hit us up in the comments, okay? Let us know
love
if
to
you have
hear
any
from you.
questions. We would. Bye, guys.